I want to give you an example though, like how do we start to interpret interventions? Like where do we go next? We have our list of critical roles. We start to evaluate the role and talent risk in these roles at the hotspots. But now we could kind of step back. If you go 2 ahead, Megan. When we look up all the roles, all of a sudden that's why we call this the code, because you can zoom out and say, well, in the bigger picture, where are my biggest risks? And what you see here, if you use my example of that one role and stack the roles vertically here, you can start to see the patterns. You know, in this particular client, 40% of the roles lack the right decision authority. So that's where you see that first column in red that are coming up, yellow, amber, and red, right? 90% of the roles have resistance issues. This is an organization, particularly where sales kind of ruled the day and had their own kind of ad hoc way of bringing solutions to market, to a transformation that they wanted to be much more scalable. So that they were building, you know, more centers of expertise, particularly in technology solutions, that in a way was going to take away some of the autonomy that the commercial side had. So a lot of roles are going to face significant resistance because you're fundamentally changing the way a lot of people were working. And then finally, 50% of the critical roles are vacant today. That's huge. You don't even have the talent to assess whether or not they meet the jobs, you know, the job demands for these critical roles. So that starts, you know, getting you into some pattern recognition. Where do we need to focus attention? That's the overall view of the code. But we could also hone in on a hotspot. So I talked about the technology sector here. If you can go one more. Go one more after that. So now when we look at a hotspot, we could say, what are the risks, particularly to this hotspot? We know that this hotspot, you know, the aspiration is 500 million in the 3-year horizon, but 34% of that is at risk because if you look in the middle, none of the roles light up green. There's either role risk or talent risk that need to be addressed. So that's how we get to a calculation of how much value is at risk for this hotspot. And then what do we need to do about it to shore this up, if you will, to increase the probability that this hotspot is going to deliver the value. So we recognize that there's some authority, decision-making rights that we need to sort out between roles, and that there's also a couple of empty roles that are very, you know, significant to this hotspot. So you could see, like we could see from the last slide, a pattern of risk that need more of a kind of an organizational level intervention, and then a very specific hotspot risk that we can kind of go after and address.